We have a massive Lakers update to go over today as a bombshell report has dropped as it pertains to Luka Doncic and his future in LA. We're going to break that down as well as discuss some rumors that have circulated surrounding one player in particular that has fans fired up. A ton to go over today, folks. Before we get into it, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. If you're a part of that percentage who aren't subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys again for your continued support over here. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot to go over today, and obviously the Lakers are in, once again, a very interesting spot. It is an interesting point of the offseason here with things opening up soon. The floodgates are soon going to open on the back of Rob Pelinka, and a lot of moves are going to be on the horizon here. But we have a bunch of updates to go over today, including one trade that is very intriguing. Stay tuned for that to the end. But let's go on and drop and go over this bombshell of a report from Bobby Marks here. So he said, expect Luka to sign a 3-year, $165 million extension with the Lakers in August with a player option into the 28-29 season instead of the initially planned 4-year, $229 million max extension. This is due to him being able to recoup the $350 million he's lost out on much sooner when the Mavericks traded him because, of course, not eligible for the Supermax. So this is a pretty interesting wrinkle into the conversations now. And not only does it confirm, all but confirm, Bobby Marks, a very notable reporter, that the Lakers are going to be re-signing Luka Doncic, but it goes and gives an interesting amount. And most of us thought it was going to be 4 years, 229. That's what most of the reports said. But now at 3 years, 165 with the player option, Luka then opens himself up to another big payday in 3 years. And this is a pretty big report here. You can go into the full article and full little tidbit here from Bobby Marks. So he's eligible to sign either after the NBA Finals or August 2nd. So this is going to be happening sooner than later. And of course, the deadline for the extension is June 30th. Doncic and the Lakers can agree to a 3-year, $160 million extension after the finals conclude. But because he was traded February 2nd, the Lakers have to wait until August 2nd if the goal is to extend him for the maximum allowed for $229. But again, according to the report, it seems that the 160 is the most likely outcome. And going into some of the specifics here, the 4-year $229 is where the $51 million first-year salary replaces the player option. And of course, diving into some things here soon. The short-term extension would allow Doncic to re-enter free agency sooner and then recoup some of the money that he lost by being traded away from the Mavericks again because he didn't sign the Supermax and he wasn't eligible for the Supermax. So lost out on about $100 million. So in all likelihood now, all signs point to him signing the big extension, down the line, and then signing the 3-year, even though it is still big, 3-year 165 with the Lakers here in, the coming weeks, which is actually a pretty big, details here. You can see here, Doncic, for his part, confirmed to ESPN's Malika Andrews in an interview before the postseason that his intention is to remain with the Lakers. But while there should be confidence in Doncic extending, showing him what a post-LeBron James roster could look like is a major priority. And he says what to expect. Doncic signs a 3-year, $165 million deal with a player option 2028-2029 season. So a very big piece of news here. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on this because there's a few different things here. Obviously, one, all but confirming, ESPN is that he's going to be staying with the Lakers in the future. And also is all but confirming, at least all signs point to at this point, him taking the shorter extension and missing out on, $40-50 million right now in order, or even $60 million right now in order to, $64 million in order to be open in the future to a bigger extension, probably with the Lakers, because he's still extremely young. We all know that. And it also is a, interesting one because he'll have the player option 28-29 season. Rob Pelinka at this point, they gave up, Davis, Max Christie, their 2029 first round pick, unprotected. They're going to be going in for Luka Doncic. They're, of course, going to extend him. There's obviously no doubt about that. But what they're going to do as well, I don't think they're going to argue with Luka about what the structure is. Whatever structure Luka wants is what you have to give him, just given the caliber of player he is. And, of course, given what's on, what's at stake here for, the Lakers and the extension. So some interesting news there. It's good to know now that, one of the benefits, I guess, for him, assuming that he's going to do the 3-year deal, he can sign it earlier than the August 2nd deadline for the 4-year deal. So we'll probably see it. I'm sure it's being negotiated now. We'll probably see it after the NBA Finals. Of course, the deadline is June 30th for the 3 years. It's going to be interesting. Let me know down below, A, does this make sense to you? Do you think it's worth it? And B, of course, whether or not you're happy Luka Doncic is a Laker here now, because again, they need some work to do. They need to, and it's very interesting. You see this part of the report here. While there should be confidence in Doncic extending, showing him what a post-LeBron James roster could look like is a major priority. You look at the depth chart now, there's not a ton of future-proof players. Obviously, Reaves, assuming he gets extended, he'll stay with the Lakers. Other than that, LeBron, Rui, it's going to be on Rob Pelinka to really build this team now around Luka Doncic, because this is a player for the next decade, not just 2 or 3 years. He's going to be on the Lakers, we assume, and hopefully for the next decade of his career. So they need to build that out. And most importantly, they need to get a center. And speaking of a center, you can see this article that dropped here yesterday. NBA trade ideas send Celtics Kristaps Porzingis to the Lakers. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. So, I mean, as you know, if you're following the Celtics at all, they need to trade Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis to get out of the luxury tax. They have new ownership, all these different things, and they want to get out of the luxury tax, I guess, horrible situation that they're in, right? The stranglehold, the grip hold. The Celtics need to make trades this offseason. We all know that. And Kristaps Porzingis is on the trade block. The Lakers need a true center, but would they be open to a Doncic-Porzingis reunion after the pairing flamed out a few years ago in Dallas? Adding James to the equation could help them this time around, but the Lakers may be looking for someone more durable in their center spot at this price tag. Boston is simply turning Porzingis' salary into cheaper, more easily movable options in this type of deal. With Vincent and Kleber on expiring deals, if the Lakers are looking for a defensive-minded center, they'll probably search elsewhere. So this is interesting because the Lakers would be able to, in theory, match salary, and depending on how many assets they'll give up, they wouldn't have to give up a ton of assets. So value-wise, it'll probably be a bit of a steal of a move here. You also get to repair Doncic and, Luka. Will Luka want that? Luka's going to have the biggest say out of anybody in who his center is going to be. I don't know if he wants it, but if he does, this would be very, very cheap. Now, cheap in the sense of assets required to get him, because he will make $30 million next year, 30.7, which is a ton. That's why the Celtics are moving off of him. But if you're able to get him for cheap, I don't hate the trade at all. Because you can see this here. Again, he won the championship. After winning the championship last season against Dallas in 5 games, Boston lost to the Knicks. It's interesting. Porzingis averaged 19, 6, and 2. He is a stretch 5. He would fit this team very well, only 29 years old. But again, if Luka didn't like the chemistry there was always a little bit of behind-the-scenes drama between Luka and Kristaps. So you obviously don't want to bring that into the fold. But if they can get him for cheap and take advantage of the Boston Celtics unique situation with the Tatum Achilles tear, and of course there being new ownership, it could be a very interesting acquisition for cheap. I don't think this would be the main center grab, but if he's your backup center, or even you play him alongside Claxton or someone else, it could make a lot of sense if you want to go for huge lineups here. Let me know down below. It's an interesting one. He's efficient. He's good when healthy. He hasn't been healthy though. He's been extremely undurable, and as a result, Celtics are obviously trying to trade him, but he did win a championship just last season, so I don't hate it. I think that it could make some sense given the right situation, but of course, at the end of the day here, the player who's going to have the most say in this is Luka Doncic, because he's going to be making the decision on his future. One other thing here, I just want to throw this out there. Robert Horry kind of threw some shade at Luka Doncic. We'll have a full video covering this, but he basically talks about how bad his defense is, talking about his hustle, talking about his lack of hustle, give up 40 points, scoring 35. It's interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, Luka Doncic looks like he's in the best shape of his career. The Lakers look like they're ready and poised to have a good year. It was never this past year. This was never going to be their full year. It's now what they do the offseason to prepare for next season. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. Thank you guys for watching. And most importantly, would you do that Kristaps Porzingis trade? You guys are beasts. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.